It's been 2 years since I first started my Backlog project, and in that time I have completed many games, but my opinions of my backlog have changed. Let's dive into 2 years ago, I set out to tackle my game backlog. In the first year, I managed to get through 33 games, and over this past year, I managed to make it through a few. But this year made me realize that the backlog isn't perfect. It still has its problems, but let's first go over the backlog provides a very easy way to see what games I have to play at a glance, which is very nice because before I would have to look at what games I had on each platform individually. But this way, my unbeaten games are all visible in one place. And not only that, it is digital, so it is always available to look at from anywhere. It also provides a nice way to reflect on my year of gaming, like a Spotify Wrapped. It shows me what games I beat through the course of a year, and I can look back and reminisce on the experiences I had. The backlog also acts as a sort of deterrent to buying new games, because I can see just how much it is ballooning with every new game purchased. Now, is it a 100% effective way to prevent me from buying games? Of course not. There are always new games releasing that I would like to play, and old games going on sale, and I make a purchase. But I would say the fact that I can see my list of games growing has deterred me from making more purchases than I have. When I am struggling to figure out what to play, the backlog shows me a bunch of games I haven't beaten to choose from. Do I always choose one of the games? No, but more often than not, I do make a decision of what to play, and then I end up playing that game until I beat it. With all of this said, you might be wondering how there could be any downsides, but trust me, there are. For starters, although it is a database of games that you haven't beaten yet, making a decision of what game to play can still be quite challenging, and in some cases, even harder than it would have been without a backlog. This is due to the fact that seeing all of the games you have yet to beat can be overwhelming. Just think, sometimes it can be overwhelming for you to decide where to eat if someone gives you 3 options, and that is just for one meal. For a game, you are choosing to sink a lot of time into it, and not to mention, there are a lot more options to choose from. I thought my backlog would help me overcome my analysis paralysis, and for a while it did, mostly because I was pretty much just playing the shortest games on the list to check lots of them off. But now that each game is at least a 15-hour time commitment, analysis paralysis has once again plagued me, and then I end up playing Madden or some other game that doesn't have a story to progress through. By its very nature, a backlog of anything is really just a checklist of things to do, but it can feel weird to have a checklist for having fun. A game that you might be having a lot of fun with or just really want to play may not be on your backlog, so instead of doing what is most fun to you at the moment, you play something on your backlog to make progress. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing because you may find that the game you decide to play is equally, if not more fun than your original choice, but it also can make it feel like you are completing a checklist rather than just having fun. To me, this feeling is practically unavoidable, because sometimes I'm really just having fun playing Madden or some other endless game. Heck, I'm even sometimes having fun replaying a game, but then I stop myself to refocus on my backlog. I'm not quite sure if this is fully a backlog problem, or if it's equal parts backlog problem and me problem. Let me know if you feel this way about your backlog in the comments down below. Just the knowledge that you have a backlog of games can make you feel guilty. The fact that you have spent lots of your own hard-earned money, or others have gifted games to you with their hard-earned money, but you haven't completed them, brings feelings of guilt along with a feeling of obligation to beat the game. This feeling of obligation is another way that having fun can turn into a chore, and nobody wants to experience that. Now, to a certain degree, you are obligated to at least give it a shot, because otherwise, what was the point of the purchase? But for some people, if they found joy in making the purchase, then they don't consider it a waste. Me, personally, I feel the crushing weight of all of the games I've purchased. But to each their own. This guilt of having a backlog can follow you into other aspects of your life. You may be having fun doing something else, but then you remember your backlog and think to yourself, I should really be playing through this instead of doing X, Y, Z. Now, I don't have a fix for this thinking, but I do have a bit of a reframe for it. If you are not finished a game, but you are finished with it, that is completely fine. You may just not have clicked with the game, but if you aren't having fun, you shouldn't push yourself through just for the sake of the backlog. I myself still struggle with this. When I look at my games and see how long they take to beat, I feel like I am committing to that full time. But I need to realize that if I am not enjoying the time I'm spending with a game, I should just cut my losses and move on to something more enjoyable. This past year, I realized that it's as simple as that. Sometimes you just don't want to game. Over the course of the last year, I spent a considerably smaller amount of time gaming and a considerably larger amount of time watching movies. And this year, I'm really enjoying reading right now. This is just how I and many others work because of what I call hobby cycles. I have these periods of time, usually about 3 to 4 months, when I am intensely interested in one hobby. The usuals tend to be gaming, watching movies, and reading, with some shorter length hobbies filling in gaps between big hobbies, or alongside the bigger hobbies. So sometimes I go from gaming in any free time I have for 3 months, and then for the next months I don't game very often at all, because I'm doing something else in that time. Now, this is normal. Where the problem comes in is the backlog. Before I had a backlog, I would just cycle through these hobbies, and it was what it was. But the fact that I now have a backlog has changed things. Now, when I'm watching movies or reading books, I'm thinking about how many games I still have to beat, and I could be doing that instead, even though in the moment, it's not what I'm interested in. This leads to some of the joy I experience doing these other activities diminishing and being replaced by guilt. So even though I'm having fun doing whatever it is I'm doing, I'm simultaneously not having as much fun as I could be because the backlog is hanging over my head. Some ways that I'm going to make the backlog work better for me are as follows. I'm going to divide my backlog into genres of games, and then every time I finish a game in a genre, I pick a game in a different genre so as not to make the gameplay become stale. Doing this also is going to reduce the choices I have to pick between, which will hopefully lead to me playing more games. The other ways are just more things I have to mentally do, such as reinforce to myself the fact that I don't have to beat each game. If I'm not having fun with it, I just drop it. Maybe I'll come back to it later, but if I don't, that's not the end of the world. Another thing I need to do is fully recognize that there is no reason to feel guilty for not wanting to play games for a while. I need to actively fully enjoy whatever hobby I am currently enjoying in my hobby cycle. I know the drive to play games always comes back, so with that knowledge, I need to know that the backlog will continue to be worked on. The biggest thing I need to work on is slowing down my purchases of more games. Of course, I will still be buying some new releases as they come out, but where I really need to hold back is buying older games on every other Steam sale. The exceptions I would make is if the game is $5 or less, or if it's a game either my brother or friends want to play. Other than those two exceptions, I shouldn't be buying a lot of games from each Steam sale. If I made all of these purchases, it would balloon my backlog and further increase the issues with the backlog I have already gone over, which is not helpful at all. Now, these aren't all generally applicable active steps to improve success with your backlog, but I hope that if you are having trouble with your backlog, now you know why and how to make it better for yourself. Now with that done, let's get into In 2025, I only managed to make my way through 12 games, meaning there are still a whopping 77 games on my backlog I have yet to beat. Hopefully in this next year I will get closer to my total of 33 games beaten in the first year of the backlog, but if not, it's not the worst thing in the world, as long as I am enjoying other hobbies and also being productive in life. Some standout games I beat in this last year are Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. It is actually as great as people make it out to be. It's really fun playing a Starkiller and seeing the changes he goes through and why. The only disappointing thing is that it is no longer canon to the Star Wars universe. Two indie standouts of the year for me were Dave the Diver and Balatro. Both of these games are so clearly made by a passionate team of people who just really wanted to make a fun game, and boy did they succeed. Lastly, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom was a really fun experience, because it combines the classic Zelda gameplay and puzzle elements with the newer additions in the 3D games. It is such a cool amalgamation of both styles of Zelda game. With all that I've discussed, I've decided that I will make the adjustments I went over and continue this backlog experiment for another year. So look forward to the 3-year anniversary of the backlog experiment. If you have made it to the end of the video, I would just like to say thank you for all the support this past year. It has been awesome, and I hope you've enjoyed the videos I put out in 2025. Let me know what videos you would like to see me make in this new year down in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a ton. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and good gaming to you all.